Hey guys, this is Lee Stephen, author of Destiny's Edge and owner of Stone Aside Publishing. A new year is upon us, and so I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about what's been new with Destiny's Edge, the series formerly known as Epic, and what 2024 has in store. There's going to be stuff in this video for both fans of the series already and for those who haven't yet discovered it, so I hope you'll stick around for the whole thing. First and foremost, what is Destiny's Edge? This is my dog. Hey, come here. Here, girl. Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? Who's a good girl? Hey, look, who's that? Who's a good girl? So first and foremost, what is Destiny's Edge? Well, from 2006 to 2022, Destiny's Edge existed as a science fiction series called Epic. All right, I'll do the whole elevator pitch Comic-Con thing. Destiny's Edge is a story about a young soldier who enlists in a global military to protect Earth from hostile invaders from other worlds. And he believes he's following a calling to do this, but he quickly finds out that callings aren't always exactly what they seem. So as much as epic, I said epic, you see that? I gotta get used to it. So as much as Destiny's Edge is an action-packed science fiction story about war and alien invasion, it's also a story about faith and the loss of faith and the attempt to regain that faith. I use that at every single Comic-Con, man. That was my line. I had it down pat. I could just pump that one out quick. All right, so this is an aside, but what I used to do at Comic-Con conventions to get people's attention is I would wait till they walked by. I would literally yell at them like, hey, do you like sci-fi? Like, half these people are dressed as Klingons. Like, yes, they like sci-fi. But, you know, whatever they would say yes or no, I would say like, oh man, you gotta come take a look at this. And they would come and they would hear me out, and half of them would buy a book. And so, you know, you do what works, man. You do what works. That's all I can say. Okay, back to the story. So during those years, between 2006 and 2022, when Destiny's Edge was epic, I was blessed to release 6 books, to enjoy some pretty good commercial success, and to pick up an international fan base. So one of the coolest things that ever happened to me as an author was early in 2023, when I had the opportunity to correspond with both a fan in Russia and a fan in Ukraine at the same time. And that was a pretty special thing. It was kind of surreal, but something I'll never forget. So Epic lasted for a long time, 16 years, and it was pretty well established when I announced late in 2022 that I would be rebranding and relaunching as Destiny's Edge. And so there are a lot of reasons why I wanted to do this, and in some ways I would say I needed to do this, not all of which I'll discuss in this video. Suffice to say, a lot of thought went into it, a lot of planning went into it. And so I knew at a certain point, you know what, it's time to pull the trigger, it's time to get this done. So let's detour for a minute and talk about Dawn of Destiny, the first book in the Destiny's Edge, formerly Epic series. Now, I love what Dawn of Destiny was for the series. I mean, it set the stage for everything that came after it, even for some pretty awesome things that are happening right now that I'll touch on a little bit later. So check it out. It actually earned me the top honor, Best New Fiction, in the 2014 New Apple Literary Awards. Also, shout out to the Audiobook of the Year Award and everyone who worked on the Dawn of Destiny audiobook, which I guess is now technically obsolete since I have rewritten all of this as a new edition. But you can still check out the audiobook. It's awesome on Audible or on CD Baby. And I get to put this thing on the book now, which is just the best. All that to say, Dawn of Destiny served its purpose very well. But I hated it. Okay, that's not fair. I didn't hate it. It's a good, solid book, and it served its purpose very well. But you know how it is when you look back at something you've done many, many, many years earlier, and you're just kind of like, I could have done better than that. So that was kind of the experience that I've always had with Dawn of Destiny. I wrote that book when I was 19 years old. 19 years old, right? There's a lot about life and the human experience that I just didn't know at that time. There's a lot about writing that I didn't know how to properly pull off at that time either. All right, take for example the character of David in Destiny's Edge. So back when I wrote David, it was really, I released this in 2006, but I wrote it in 99 and 2000 when I was in college, actually. And so I wrote David as sort of this grandfatherly figure who would dispatch age-old wisdom to the young soldiers around him. And everybody would kind of come to him seeking this advice and wisdom. So do you want to guess how old David was in the book? You want to just guess? Take a minute. Take a second. Guess. How old was this grandfatherly figure who would dispatch wisdom to these young soldiers? He was 40. He was 40. 40. Like, I am 42 now. That is not old. But when you're 19, man, that's like, I wrote him like he had one foot in the grave. You can also look at the character of Nicole, who is the fiance of Scott Remington, the protagonist of the series. And so at the time that I was writing Nicole and Scott's relationship, I had never been in a relationship myself. And here I am trying to convey what goes into our relationship and engagement, right? Leading into marriage. And I had never experienced anything like that before. Now I've been married for over 15 years and I know about the joys of it. I know about the struggles of it. I know about the things that you have to overcome together. I know what goes into a relationship to actually make it a wonderful thing. And I just didn't know that at the time, and I really didn't do Nicole or the relationship the justice that it deserved. So going back and rewriting the story allowed me to not only correct these issues that I came to realize I had as I got older, but also to just write better. I'm a better writer at 42 than I was at 19. And so all of these things combined allowed me the opportunity to raise the level of Dawn of Destiny to something that I had hoped to hit at the time, but I just didn't know how to. I just wasn't developed enough or ready to as a writer. So did I pull it off? Yes, absolutely, unequivocally, I pulled it off because this book is good. This book is everything that I wanted Dawn of Destiny to be as a teenager, but did not yet know how to do. Whereas with the original Dawn of Destiny, especially as I got older, I would kind of hand it off to people and be like, I hope you like it here. This book is good. The book is good. It's solid. It is what it needs to be to launch this series in the right way. So is Destiny's Edge different from Epic? Well, yes, but not in any ways that are significant enough to alter the story itself. My goal with writing the new edition of Dawn of Destiny was not to replace anything that had been done before, but just to make them better. And while yes, there are some things that have changed, they are all for the better and none of them affect the overarching main story of the series. In fact, if you're a fan of Dawn of Destiny already when it was Epic, the new edition will be intimately familiar to you. It is the story that you know and love, just written better and with expanded content. I'll throw up a few quick examples of how the new edition of Dawn of Destiny is written compared to the old version so you can see for yourself how the writing quality has improved. So if you were a fan of Dawn of Destiny back when it was Epic, you owe it to yourself to give the new edition under Destiny's Edge a shot. In addition to the writing quality just being outright better throughout, it's got a lot of expanded content. There's a lot of character development that just wasn't there the first time around. It's definitely something that'll be worth your time and investment. And if you haven't yet discovered the series, there's no better time to do so than right now. This is a fun, deep, action-packed story. I won't get into spoiler territory, obviously, but man, fans of the series will tell you that it is a fun, engaging read that's not like really anything else out there. So fans of the series have actually compared it to sort of a Starship Troopers meets Game of Thrones type thing. I can't attest to the Game of Thrones thing because I actually haven't seen that myself, but people love Game of Thrones, so I'll take it. And for parents, I want you to know that this series is okay for your older kids, especially if they're teenagers, to read. You know, I don't do the whole profanity thing. I don't do the whole sexual content, sexual gratuity thing. I made it a point to not do those things because I didn't want parents to be in a situation where they give their kids a book and then they have to worry about what are their kids going to find when they turn the page. It's not that kind of book. Now, it does deal with some pretty heavy things. This is war, this is combat, this is intense personal relationship things. But I don't devolve into the four-letter words, and I don't devolve into sexual content that your kids really shouldn't be reading or that you may not want to read yourself. So don't mistake what I just said for me saying that this book is okay for your young kids to read, because it's not. Like, this is war, this is combat. There are real grown-up situations that take place in this book. I would probably go so far as to rate it PG-13, not for profanity, not for sexual content, but just for the nature of war and the nature of what life is like with your fellow humans. But there are some pretty strong faith-based messages throughout the series that sort of tie a lot of things together. And so in that regard, it's fine. But just know, like, you're giving your kids a war book. Science fiction, yes, but it's still a war book. So keep that in mind. So what's ahead for the series? Well, it's the perfect time to get on board because the subsequent books in the series after Dawn of Destiny are all going to come out relatively quickly. I'm working right now on Outlaw Trigger, which is the direct follow-up to Dawn of Destiny. And it by far is the book that would need the most work relative to the others. So as soon as Outlaw Trigger is out, and I think pretty strongly it'll be out in 2024, you'll see Book 3, Hero. Book 4, The Glorious Becoming. Book 5, Enemy 1, and Book 6, The Devil You Don't, all coming out relatively soon. There's just not a lot of work that needs to go into them. And there's another reason why now is the perfect time to discover the series if you haven't yet already. And that's because the series is actively in the process of being discovered. Destiny's Edge is currently in the process of being pitched as a television show. So this has been in the works for some time now, well over a year by this point. But Destiny's Edge is in a really great place and being looked at by some entities of significance. Like now, literally right now, at the time that I'm recording this and at the time that you're watching it, there are conversations and meetings taking place about the series. And these conversations and meetings have been taking place for quite some time by numerous companies, many of which you've heard of. Now that's as much as I'll dive into that at present, but all that just to say, it's an awesome time to discover the series for the first time. So spread the word, spread the hype about Dawn of Destiny and Destiny's Edge. Whether you're an old fan or you haven't yet discovered it yourself, there's no better time to get on board than right now. I'll go ahead and toss some social media links in the description and up here on the screen so you can keep up with everything that's happening. I haven't done a whole lot of these videos, but I do enjoy doing them. So if there's something you'd like to see a video about, leave it in the comments. If you have a question about the writing process or life as a writer, ask away, and I'll try to answer it if I can. But until then, thank you so much for watching this video, and especially thank you to all the fans who have supported me for all of these years. You've made this such an incredible and rewarding ride. I cannot wait to show you all the awesome things we have in store. Until next time. Come here, Coco. Come here, girl. Good girl. Good girl. All right. Say bye, girl. Say bye.